Good afternoon, everyone. I was going to go straight into my speech, but since I was listening to José Luis, something came to my mind. I've come here to talk about the challenges we've found in implementing the facility management models that we understand can be considered as truly global. But to be honest, trying to convince Spaniards of the benefits of changing their habits is going to be rather more complicated than adopting a truly global facility management approach. I remember when we inaugurated the building in Valencia. This is a skyscraper where we are occupying several floors. We had the corresponding project and traffic for the lifts. And as soon as we started, we identified a dark spot on the traffic study. At certain points in time during the day, we had problems. It was around 10 in the morning. So we started wondering, what is going on? I mean, we've made all the calculations. So we went there on site and we said, well, this is Valencia. 10 o'clock in the morning is breakfast time. Our lifts simply have no ability to transport all the people that will go to breakfast at that time, and exactly at that time. Well, as Vicente was saying before, my name is Borja Fernández. I'm working for Iberdrola. I've been there for more than 10 years. Out of the facility management department, which is part of the larger general services division. We'll see what we understand by facility services. I'll explain that, because Eduardo had to use Google to try and find a suitable explanation. I'm sure that me and most of yourselves would need to look for a clear definition, because we all seem to speak different languages when we talk about facility management. I remember a chat yesterday from one of the leading companies in Spain. I was telling her about a specific contract, a specific tender that we're about to launch. And she said, well, I'm in facility, I don't have to do anything with cleaning. I remember a chat with another head of another company last month, where he said the facility includes cleaning, catering, and anything you can think of. I am not sure about what we really mean about facility management, but it is an irrefutable truth that we need to manage our buildings in the best possible way. As I was saying before, I've been working for Iberdrola for the last 10 years. And during all this time, Iberdrola has been growing, and not just in Spain. In fact, when I started working for my company, it was only Spain. It was relatively easy to handle our assets. And I say relatively, because Iberdrola Spain is not just the offices in the main tower in Bilbao, or the main building in Madrid or Valencia without problems with the lifts. We have electrical or electricity distribution, where we have substations, we have renewable units, renewable substations, we have hydraulic, thermal plants, we have engineering, we have construction. So that was Iberdrola back in 2007. And as I say, it's been growing. In 2007, we incorporated Scottish Power out of the UK, basically the same structure for electricity distribution, similar problems to what we have. Offices, substations, some plants. In 2008, someone else came on board, a major company. With the acquisition of the company last summer, and the new name is Avangrid. And then in Brazil, we have another operation since 2011 for electricity distribution in the area around Sao Paulo. To give you a snapshot of the scope of our work, just 4 basic indicators. In Spain, it says buildings, but these are installations or facilities. Some of them are repeating towers, windmills, windmill parks, more than 1,000 sites altogether. That's more than 500,000 square meters. In Scotland we have a smaller amount, and yet we have 180,000 square meters, and so on and so forth. In the US, a similar situation. So throughout the world, we are managing some 1,500 facilities. How do we manage all of these? And everything we've learned is what I'm about to tell you, or try to tell you during my presentation. I'm sure I'll make you think about the difficulties I have encountered. Peculiarities about ourselves. At Iberdrola, facility management doesn't refer to catering. It means hard services and soft services, cleaning, snow in the US, rain in the UK, gardening and landscaping in Brazil, maintenance. But it's not just that. It's not just facilities and offices, as the ones you can see here, typically shown in our PowerPoint presentations. Very modern offices, relatively easy to manage. But we have lots of other spaces, warehouses, technical rooms, some of them in remote areas. Therefore, the typologies of buildings we cater for is huge. So, how would I like to structure my presentation? Obviously, I will give you some case studies, and I will give you a snapshot before, a snapshot during, and another snapshot after. How we used to manage this global network of assets, how things have been developed in different countries where we have a presence, and obviously what lessons we have learned looking backwards. So the snapshot on the before situation. How did we do things in the past? How did we start working on facility management? Well, some things had been developed at that time, especially for Spain. And this is what we have basically reproduced in other countries. Whenever we acquire a company outside Spain, we go there, we take all of our troops and try to enable a model which is similar to what we have in Spain. So when entering a new country, where we start analyze market trends, obviously focusing on facility management companies, we identify the main players in the market to see who sells what. There are companies nowadays selling an FM model as part of their core business. I don't think that is the case. That is not the reality around us. And then we have global models, which don't have to do with any specific country. Why do we adapt the model that we have in Spain? Well, because we feel comfortable if we keep everything we do under control. So based on this, which I believe is a mistake, well, it was a mistake at that time, we started implementing the different models or sub-models. So, that was the before. What happened during a snapshot? In 2009, when we started working in Spain on facility management, and when we realized that we were growing in other regions and we had to take a global approach, we analyzed the situation. At that time, we had some 64 contracts or framework contracts, whichever way you want to call them. We had a chat with chats with Eduardo and his colleagues in procurement every single day, because we were always close to the termination of each of those contracts. So based on the trends that we had analyzed beforehand, which were a reference for all of our work, we said to ourselves, okay, if there are companies out there that do these things, let us go and get in touch with one of these. So we moved over to the new model. The entire maintenance system we had in place for elevators, lifts and everything went into the hard services part, and then we left all the services in the soft area, like cleaning, catering and so on and so forth, on the other side. we managed to achieve savings, which was what our procurement colleagues were looking for. And that was the situation for the last 4 or 5 years. We are now opening the tender for the new 2 areas of services. But as it happened, we realized a number of things. There is a large number of companies out there, some of them are really large in size, which offer the full facility management cycle. But when you delegate, you need to be clear about how much you're willing to delegate, because you might lose too much control. And that was indeed the case in our situation. We were not in control of the service itself, we were not in control of the information properly. Out of those facilities we had in Spain, just imagine the number of incidences that may come up in these facilities when you delegate into a third party and you get no feedback.
What have we done? Well, we have understood the problem lied on that information, maybe not so much in terms of the provider per se, but rather not to establish a good information flow, good communication that allows us to improve that control on whatever it's being done. So how have we proceeded? And this is something we are setting up globally. We have internalized the GMAO, or the information system, in terms of FM, and we are asking them all to work with our system. And thus, we have at all times control on information. That is what we're doing right now. And it is true that although we have reached some cost reduction and also administrative work, we have identified a lack of quality. We're going to try to compensate thanks to this internalization process. What about Scotland? Well, in Scotland we had a similar system, similar to that in Spain, some part of arts, some part of services, but in Scotland they had another situation, another problem. Their services were not defined. So they had some work dictated by law, so the people came and they offered whatever they wanted. Our friends from procurement were crazy, were really trying to handle all these offers, which was very difficult. So instead of modifying that model, maintaining that structure, hard services, soft services, we asked everybody the same. So we tried to get organized, we tried to harmonize the processes, and we therefore saved some money. But in this case, we were facing the same problem as in Spain. We have no control. There are 90 buildings altogether, but we are lacking information. So again, we were in the hands of the contractor, and we had a loss of quality and loss of control. And the contract, the bid, will be launched very soon, and we will go towards the internal information management, thanks to the system controlled by Iberdrola. USA, the most surprising case. We went to USA thinking, well, USA is going to teach us a lot or lots about this, and we realized when getting there, if in Spain I manage with 17 internal resources the service, in USA they were managing it with 84, because half of the staff were still plumbers, cleaners, window experts just devoted to one building, and the trade unions coming behind. So you could not attach upon these people. They were very much protected. They had to reach the end of the labor career. We just had to wait for their retirement. So USA was a surprise because it was like going back 30, 40 years in time. The maintenance model, they still talked about the maintenance model, cleaning. So the term facilities was very strange, very weird. So we have spent the last 5, 6, 7 years trying to introduce the model there, because the American companies, in this case in Europe it was okay, but USA companies understood that the model we were trying to introduce there, hard services, soft services, they were not interested in it. And as in USA, it seems they have a lot of work, more than enough, so all the bids were empty. So you were looking for the providers in the market to give them our model, the global model already implemented in Scotland and Spain, and all the companies, but large companies, said no, no way. And some companies even said, no, you are not going to come here to tell me the model you are going to impose upon me. You tell me the budget you have, and I will tell you about our maintenance program. So after thinking about it once and again and trying to handle different options and trying to think that maybe Spanish model does not fit in the American market, so we had to go for a local model, first the hard, then the soft. We did a mix, so to speak, so that the resulting information at least is similar to the one we handle here in Europe. That has only taken us 10 years. And finally, Electro in Brazil. Well, Electro has a different model. The situation in Brazil, as we all know, or in South America, is quite different from the situation in the rest of the world. Think of the inflation, labor problems. Well, with the Olympic Games this year, they did not have any problem. It seemed everybody had a job, and even some companies refused to continue working with us because they wanted to work somewhere else for other people working for the Olympic Games. And they said, no, I do not want to work for you. I will work for other people who will pay me more. So some people have left us during the Olympic Games because there was an excess of work. Okay, Brazil case. So we tried to harmonize the model, trying to make it similar to our model in Europe. But we went for an RCP for about 2-3 months to assess and evaluate many different situations. And then we stick to the least harmful, knowing that the growth there is by 7-8% every year. 2% of reduction was kind of acceptable, or more than acceptable in our case. And some of the conclusions we started to see was to try to get information fitting in with the information system that we were internally implementing. Well, that has been everything about during. And what about the after? Well, that in that after framework, you realize that everything you had been doing so far, you could have not done it if you had known many things, because there is no equal country or similar country, and the buildings are not similar either to each other depending on the country. In some countries, we have very far away locations. For example, in Brazil, it takes you 5 hours to cover 100 kilometers. So each of the countries have their own singularities. So you cannot just have one single model and go to all the countries and implement it equally, because that does not work. Or at least in our case it has been impossible, because every country is different from an external and from an internal viewpoint. They have different providers. For example, in USA we are a very small company, whereas in other countries we are a large company. And that is the easy conclusion, and that is the after. What would I do if I was 10 years younger and I could go back in time, knowing as much as I know now, of course? Well, it's clear. I would not have wasted those 10 years, for example, in the States, trying to do things in this way, trying to find providers to adjust or stick to my needs, but rather I would have tried to have the same information to manage all the services. I think the first time I met David Martinez told me that. He used to say, well, I'm not going to ask a company to come here and do things this way and that way, and so often. You want this to be clean? Well, you just tell the company you want this to be cleaned. But what happens that is very difficult, because then you have to do some monitoring, and for monitoring you need information. And that is what we do not have enough today, information to control. It is true that nowadays we are handling many win-to-win contracts and so on and so forth, but we are still lacking information. We are not mature in this regard, and that is our target in the years to come. Our target is that we have to reach the homogeneous product worldwide, and then we can do some benchmarking, etc., etc. So the global model, as I understood it when I started this process, this hard system, soft system, you hire me and I do everything, that cannot be applied everywhere, and not even inside Spain, because if you go to different autonomous communities, things or buildings are not the same. We have local variety here in Spain as well. So in my opinion, the key of the facility management model lies on information. The model is just a PowerPoint, very easy to elaborate, very easy to explain, but then very difficult to hire and almost impossible to implement. So in my opinion, well, in other cases information is power, but in this case it's not just power, it's everything. A facility management model without feedback is nothing, is useless. And that is all from me. Thank you so much. I hope I have taught you something, and I have made you think about how to implement a contract or an FM model. Thank you so much for your attention, ladies and gentlemen.